Hello everyone and welcome to Crank This from the Digital Forge with me, Kyla. This week we have something that is angry, theatrical, deliberately excessive and built around one very simple idea. What happens when a creator feels like a platform has tried to bury them? Well, apparently you write the funeral music. In case you haven't guessed it yet, this week we are looking at the song Welcome to Your Funeral by the simply stunning Sabian Splash. Let's have a listen, but I warn you, strap in for a ride.
Your content has been removed. Your reach has been restricted. Your voice no longer meets advertiser standards. Fuck you too. Fuck YouTube. Welcome to your funeral. No, you don't. You never did. You just package human pain for the rich. You love watching people drown as long as the ad runs clean. You built a kingdom out of corpses, covered it in HD screens. Welcome to your funeral. Everybody watch it burn. Welcome to your fucking funeral. Now the fire gets a turn. You dug the grave. You fed the lies. Then act surprised when something dies. Welcome to your funeral, bitch. Sing along.
This song was written in protest after their YouTube channel was sanctioned, something they felt happened without justification. Now, I'm not going to debate what YouTube did. We all know how it can go. What interests me is what the creator did with that frustration. Because instead of simply complaining, they turned it into a song with an entire aesthetic around it. Musically, this is a heavy modern metal track with a strong industrial edge. The underlying tempo isn't ultra fast. It sits in that heavy industrial range with a nice amount of EDM thrown in for good measure. But there is enough movement in the drums and guitars that it frequently feels much faster. And I think that slower underlying pulse is important because this song doesn't sprint, it stomps. There is this sense of something large and mechanical moving towards you. The guitars are heavily rhythm-driven, the drums hit with real weight, and the electronic elements running underneath everything give the track a cold, digital quality, which fits the subject perfectly, because the antagonist here isn't really another person, it is a system, and the music highlights that. Then you have the lead vocal, and this is where the attitude of the song really comes through. She doesn't sound defeated. She doesn't even sound particularly interested in asking for sympathy. She sounds pissed off. There is accusation in the delivery, but there is also a lot of defiance. And that is important, because a song like this could very easily become self-pitying. This one doesn't. The feeling is much closer to, you thought that was enough to get rid of me? Yeah, right. Try again. There's still enough melody in the vocal to give the track a proper hook, though. And that matters more than you may think, because anger might get your attention, but a hook is what makes you remember the song afterwards. And you will remember this one. Visually, the video makes its intentions clear almost immediately. We have this dark graveyard imagery, giant platform logos and signs carrying messages like content removed, limited ads, restricted reach. And then we get the phrase, the undead creator resistance. And I actually love that, because the word undead basically contains the entire concept of the video. The creator has supposedly been buried, but they are still here, still making music, still making videos, still creating. So already, the idea of the funeral becomes slightly sarcastic. And from there, the video moves between two very different visual worlds. One is dark, ruined, gothic, and almost apocalyptic. The other is bright, colourful, and completely saturated with social media imagery. You have these huge logos, stage lighting, and this almost artificial digital spectacle surrounding the performer. Then, suddenly, we are back in burning ruins, graveyards, and darkness. And that contrast works really well. It feels like the shiny public face of the online world on one side, and the much uglier actual experience of the creator underneath it. There is also an extraordinary amount of fire in this video. And yes, normally I would say that fire in metal videos is hardly revolutionary, but here it actually has a purpose. Because the band isn't being consumed by it, they are performing inside it. The environment is burning, and they are still playing. So the fire becomes another symbol of endurance rather than destruction. Some of the strongest shots in the entire video are actually the performance scenes with the vocalist and guitarist together against that wall of flame. Those moments are important because they remind us that underneath all the symbolism, this is still supposed to be a metal video, and a great one at that. The creator also does a good job of giving the rest of the band room to exist. We get guitar shots, drums, electronic performance, paired musicians, and wider stage scenes. So it never feels like we are simply watching one AI vocalist surrounded by random imagery. It feels like a complete musical act living inside this world. The drummer gives the video some particularly useful visual variety, because the shape and movement of the kit immediately changes the composition. And I also really like the presence of the electronic performer, as that adds another interesting layer. The message in the video is very clear. Technology itself isn't being presented as the enemy. The artist is using technology, the music is using technology, the video is using technology. The frustration is with the system controlling how that work gets distributed. And whether that was consciously intended or not, I think it reads very clearly. One of the strongest sequences comes later, when the colour drops away, and we see the grave marked simply, Creator. This is probably the most literal image in the entire video. The creator has been buried, her reach restricted, content removed, visibility reduced, finished. Except obviously they aren't, because the song is still playing. And then we move back into performance. So without ever needing somebody to literally crawl out of a grave, the video has effectively given us a resurrection. The editing also deserves some credit here. This is a little over 4 minutes long, and there's enough visual material to keep it moving without relying on one gimmick. We get glitch effects, hard cuts, overlays, dissolves, monochrome sequences, and different performance environments. The glitching is particularly appropriate because it reinforces the idea of broken signals, interruption, and digital platform interference. But importantly, it's not happening constantly. If every single shot was glitching, the effect would become meaningless very quickly. Instead, it is used as punctuation. There's also a good level of visual continuity. We all know how hard that can be. The singer stays recognisable through some very different environments, lighting setups, and costumes. And even though the video moves between graveyards, social media stages, fire, ruins, and rain, it still feels like one complete visual universe. That's because certain things keep repeating. Darkness, screens, fire, rain, metallic textures, and the central performer. Those repeated visual motifs hold everything together. I think the important thing about the song is this. It isn't interesting simply because the creator was angry with YouTube. The interesting part is what they did with that anger. Whatever happened behind the scenes, they took the feeling of being suppressed or pushed aside and turned it into something creative. The moderation system becomes a funeral, restricted reach becomes burial, and continuing to create becomes resurrection. There is also some lovely irony in responding to what you believe is an attempt to restrict your content by making another piece of content about it. Quite possibly the loudest possible version of filing an appeal. And then there is that title, Welcome to Your Funeral. At first, it sounds like a fairly straightforward threat, but after watching the video, it's not entirely clear who the word your refers to anymore. Is it the creator's funeral? The systems? Censorship itself? Or the idea that an artist can simply be buried and forgotten? Because we see the grave marked creator, but the creator clearly isn't dead. They are standing there, singing about it, which almost turns the title into a joke. You organised my funeral slightly early, didn't you? Is what she is saying. The song clearly has a message, and that message, to me at least, is never count me out. The song will resonate with anyone who has ever experienced someone trying to silence them for doing what they believe in. And I think that is probably the best way to understand this entire song. It's a rallying cry to the browbeaten, the dreamers, the freedom lover, that you can try and shut me up, but you will never silence me. Welcome to Your Funeral is angry, theatrical, and knowingly over the top, which, frankly, is exactly what a protest metal song should be. But underneath the fire, graves, glitching screens, and digital carnage is a very simple message. You don't get to decide when a creator has finished creating. And sometimes, the best response to being told your voice has been restricted is to turn it up louder. This isn't really a song about being buried. It's a song about refusing to stay there. Sabian proved in one song that the dream is bigger than the system trying to contain it. And for that, we at the Digital Forge are cranking it nice and loud. I suggest you go do the same. The creators' channel is linked in the description below. Go and check them out and give them some love. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us out and allows us to bring more of these amazing creators to your attention. I am Kyla, and this is Crank This from the Digital Forge. Be safe out there. Keep dreaming and go ahead and crank this.